Welcome back to the second edition of the Coaches Show. I'm Scott Zink with Coach Pygott. We're here at Bull's Restaurant in downtown Long Beach. It's Tuesday night. We usually try to get going around 6, so you're more than welcome to come down and join us. With that being mentioned, any requests or anything that you have that could be positive to make the show a little bit better, neither of us are professionals here. We did have one suggestion by the Booster Club from the band. Jeannie Weiland said that we needed to put a table in front of us too, because we're too fat to be on TV. I'm not trying to be on a bathing suit model or anything. Are you, Coach? No, we're just here to talk Bearcat football. So thank you for that suggestion, but we're going to just move on from that. Before we get into mention anything, I'd like to talk about a couple things that people just don't understand. The number of hours you spend on the field, what you miss from your family, maybe some of the occasions that your son's playing football or something that you miss, that I think they go unheard of or unnoticed, because I know it does for me. When you say it, we make money supposedly coaching football, but if you want to put down hourly, we probably make, 29 cents an hour or so, especially with the time you stay up at night.
I wish we'd get minimum wage. We'd be doing good.
So, besides that, we are both family men, so that's one thing. All right, before we start tonight's show, talk about what happened in the game, what was your analysis going into the game? What were you looking to execute both offensively and defensively, knowing what you knew about Stanislaus prior to the game?
Right. Stanislaus, we knew they are a great coach football team. They're guys that, they don't beat themselves. They have a lot of athletes. They're tough kids. And, we knew that we would have to play a perfect game and execute our game plan. Couldn't really count on them messing up their jobs. We were going to have to kind of out-scheme them and try to do some things. And, we thought, offensively, spread the field out, make some plays. Of course, quarterback goes down. That puts a little curveball in there for you. Defensively, we knew that they'd run the football on everybody they'd played against, and they do a good job when they're running the football of, one thing that we really harped on was we call it their ISO play. They ran an ISO play with their H-back that, for you to fit that ISO, you've got to put your linebackers in the box and come and fit it. Well, what they do is, if you play the ISO correct, they're going to throw right behind where your linebackers left from. And so we had to creatively game plan to get that route covered, right there, as well as fit the ISO play. And that was a big focus for us, and really felt like, defensively, for the most part, we did stop the run. So. I gave up some balls over our head 2 weeks in a row, so that's been something to address this week for sure. So.
Okay. And I know that football is a position game, and every member's got to do their job. And you may see a kid that doesn't have a tackle, but he was in the right position every night, and that's a good game by him. Right. Where you don't get out of line, because it does take everybody to do the right thing. Yeah. Okay. After looking at the game film, I know it was a late Friday night, I think, for the coaching staff. What was your outcome? What did you think you really did well, or where are the areas you need to improve going into next week?
The things that I wanted to focus on was, we as a team, we as a coaching staff, you look at the night and so many emotional ups and downs, and we came together, we stuck together, we continued to fight. Thought that the kids showed tremendous heart on the night. Thought they showed a ton of toughness and to keep their heads in there when breaks weren't going their way and still play as a team and do that, I thought it was a tremendous effort by them. So
I'm going to be honest, when I first walked into the game, at the beginning of the game, it looked like we were overpowering them. It really looked like we had the stronger of the two teams. That we'd get them in the third and long, and then we'd give up a play or they'd get a penalty or whatever. But it seemed like at the very beginning of the game, we were controlling everything in the line of scrimmage, offensively and defensively.
Oh, yeah.
If you ask me, I just thought the score didn't show that at that time. Right. But again, all right, during that when you're watching it, do you think we had a little bit of lack in execution, or were we just outmanned? Like, again, I thought we had the more powerful team. I did see a couple times where I saw some players a little out of position. I know Coach Benji from since for a while, and his big thing is counter, bootleg, reverse.
Right.
Check for that. And I saw
Right.
a couple times our guys got sucked in and they beat us to the outside.
Right. Yeah.
So
I think certainly kids are playing hard. I think as far as the run goes, I hadn't seen the total stats of rushing on the night, but I know just looking back over it, we couldn't have given up very much. To me, it was again it was they had a tremendous receiver. They did a good job moving him around, getting him matched up, and he caught some balls over guys that were in position covering him.
Right.
And great players make great plays, and he did that. And that's the thing. I mean, we cut a couple times in the night. I think our eye discipline. We harp on that all the time, and it's tough. You're out there and you're playing with all those emotions, and it's a simple thing where we're looking and all of a sudden we lose sight of our guy, and that great teams, they only need an inch, and that was something that we saw, and offensively I thought our O-line 2 weeks in a row, phenomenal performance. I think there was certainly a lot to overcome with the injury occurring and guys having to play kind of out of position and step up, and so I think that was kind of the deal on offense.
And I think we'll hit the offense later.
Right.
But as far as the defense, I mean, it's easy looking back after the game.
Right.
Everybody's that Monday morning quarterback. So, some of the questions. Number 11 is the guy I'm sure you're talking about as a receiver.
Yeah,
I called him Julio Jones because he was a monster out there, the height and everything.
Oh, yeah.
I did see him physicality-wise beating some of our players and things. Right. I thought that Gervais may have been a better matchup. Again, I'm thinking Monday.
Right.
You don't know that going into the game,
Right.
but that might have been somewhere where we could have used him on them. Defensively, again, strong. I don't think third down and long, long play.
Right.
It seems like it was just one long play. Shoot, 43-yard touchdown pass for the first score.
Right.
34-yard touchdown pass for the second score.
Yeah.
Then you had that touchdown at the end of the first half, which I don't want to blame anything on the Zebras, but that's pass interference by 11 all day long. He threw the guy down, but that's. We'll talk about that later. Then you talk about the kickoff return at the end, to start the second half. And then the last score was a 35-yard, 4-yard pass, setting up the last score.
Right,
it just seems like we're just the big play is killing us. We
Right,
play so good for so long, and then it's one big play.
Right,
And we're kind of right down there. So I know looking back at the game, and I got to see a couple of the highlights and things. Your defensive start, DeAllen King's a monster.
Yeah.
I'm going to give the kid.
He's really playing well. For sure.
Not only like as far as what he's doing on the field, like I said, position football, but the kid never seems to give up. I watched a couple times down the opposite side of the field. The kid had a breakaway, and DeAllen's running from one end of the field all the way to the other. Yeah. And, I mean, that's something you just can't teach. You wish they all did that.
Absolutely.
But you don't have those often. What about other defensive players that maybe the rest of us don't see? Maybe when McMillan's in there getting double teamed, he may not have the sack, but taking two people is a big deal. Or Jaron Evans is another guy that I think about. Cameron, Gabe Smith. These are kids that you may not see blow up the stat sheet, but they're doing the right things, and that gives us a shot.
Well, that's the thing. With the defense, it's such a do-your-job defense. It's not every play is designed for you to make the tackle. You might have to, force the ball on the edge and force it back to help and things like that. And so it's kind of there's guys that the stats would say they're making all the plays, but you watch the film and the D-line 2 weeks in a row has just really been a strong thing for us. Our players of the week. Last 2 weeks we got Jace Neal, D lineman, player of the week for last week. This week, Jaleel Jones, player of the week for defense. That's 2 D linemen. There's 3 that we're playing with, and 2 of them in 2 weeks have been the player of the week. So, I think that says, a ton for us. I think guys like J.R. McFarland has taken his game to the next level. He was a guy we knew he had a ton of ability last year, and felt like, if we could get him really harnessed in, and instead of just kind of, I know my job, dominating his job this season and really being confident in what his calls are and his checks, that, he'd really be a special player, and he's been that to this point. Gervais has done very well in coverage. Julius, done well in coverage as well. You know, I mean, we got guys making plays. The inside backers, I mean, another stellar performance by them. You know, Gabe Smith, D. Allen, as we mentioned, Marcus Duncan. Those are kind of the three guys that roll in there. Cameron Matthews played well on the edge. You know, really stepped up. He's a senior leader for us. You know, so I mean, there's a lot of bright spots. You know, and you know, that's what kind of, you know, I'm talking to my wife over the weekend. I'm like, I didn't feel like we lost. You know, I mean, you watch the tape and you know, we're making plays all over the place. You know, so it's I think there's a ton to build on there, and you know, the kids know it, I think, and you know, so we're gonna keep doing what we do.
Like I said, coming from just a normal football fan, that's
Right.
you know, like you're talking when they're doing a power up the middle, it's the Gabe Smiths and the ones that want to keep on that lead blocker that don't really get the credit, but then everybody else has a free run at the running back, or the cornerback that gives himself up to the big lineman rolling around. If he doesn't take that lineman out, we don't have a chance to stop him. So that's the things you know that normal people don't see, but as far as a technician, you might run into. Going to the offensive side of the ball, I mean, anytime anyone goes down, it affects the team, especially if it's a skilled player. Geis goes down, on the first play of the game or his first throw anyway. It gets hurt, and obviously that put an effect to the team. What's his status going forward? I know I talked to Coach Arms today, and he said he was throwing the ball good. He's okay to go, and we're good to go.
You know, I don't want to tell my opponent who, you know, exactly where we're at. You know, I'll say this. No, I don't want to say anything.
There you go.
I want West Harrison to wonder if he's going to play or not.
Okay.
So we'll go with that.
And along that line, you know, Geis goes down and Elijah goes into quarterback, and they're two different types of quarterbacks. I mean, let's be honest. Elijah is a great talent, you know, he's very athletic. But I don't know, maybe you could answer this. Does the team usually practice with him at quarterback? To me, it seemed like the offensive line does a good job. He scrambles around. You know, and then he ends up running. But I see a lot of our receivers slowing down or stopping, not coming back. Maybe they're not used to run with the running quarterback. You know.
Well, you know, we've worked a lot. You know, Elijah's one. You know, he's a great athlete. You know, he's a guy that what we do is we find ways to get him in space and put the ball in his hands. And you know, so when Geis is in, you know, we've got Elijah on the field as a slot receiver. We like him at the slot receiver because we can hand him a jet sweep. We can move him around. We can mismatch him with motions. You'll see sometimes when I'm at the slot, if we see a mismatch at corner, we'll motion him out, make him the number one receiver, and they can't adjust. So you know, really like our offensive coordinator's game plan and our offensive staff's game plan to, you know, showcase him and his abilities. You know, and the thing is, we've worked him at the Wildcat quarterback, and you know, not so much running the full offensive package.
Every down back.
You know, and we get in the situation, you know, now the true second string quarterback is Junior Kozlowski, the freshman.
Which we'll talk about later.
And, you know, so in practice, you know, you go Geis at the quarterback, he's running your offense. You go to the Wildcat package, it's Elijah. We get in that heated game right there, and you know, a ton of emotions on the line, and we just felt like the move was when Geis goes down, hey, let's go with the veteran Elijah. And, you know, he's a sharp kid. You know, he knows all 11 guys on the field's job for the most part. And, you know, he could pick it up quick. Even if he hadn't repped it, we knew he still knew all the routes the receivers were running. We knew he knew how to hand off the ball and things like that. You know, but that's something that if we're going to go with him as that second string quarterback in those moments, we got to get him more work doing that. And, you know, we go in there and we at first, we're going the Wildcat package with him. Then we say, all right, let's spread it out. He felt comfortable, you know, and we start running our offense. And then, you know, as the game went, we gave the youngster a chance, and man, he shined.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And credit to Elijah. I mean, you're a Wildcat quarterback. Your main thing is you're running the ball.
Right. Yeah.
So you see, that's what I was saying later in the game after the injury, it seemed like it'd be the same thing.
Right.
It'd be a fake handoff and him end up running in the long run, where he maybe, you know, you hate to tackle a kid down and you want a confident kid that thinks he can break that tackle all the time, but he's got to use some of the other weapons we have available, maybe dumping that pass off, not only saving his health, but, you know, to make it a little easier or harder for the defense to key on people. And I think that goes back to him being just in a Wildcat. He's going to run more often, where I think he could have, you know, in the long run, he'll run. Okay, so what about Gervais? I saw Gervais this week change his number 24 to 8. I saw him in the backfield a couple times. man, the one run he had down the left-hand side, he broke a couple, 3-4 tackles. He looks like a man-child out there at times. And he, without giving any of your secrets again, we may see a little bit more Gervais in the backfield or less.
The plan always with guys like Gervais and Andrew McMillan, we got guys that are, we feel are collegiate players. And, we've had several conversations with them of, hey, you're going to be a guy for us and we're going to get it out of you, and if we feel like, we need somebody strong in coverage, then we're going to put our best players out there to match up with their best players. So Gervais played a lot of corner for us. Obviously, we know what he can do at receiver, and so getting him the chance to play in there at receiver and mixing that up, that's something we've really wanted to do, and you'll only see that package grow.
Man, we had bodies like them, we wouldn't need the table.
Oh, yeah.
Those two guys, you know what I'm saying? They're men-childs right there.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we talked about the junior a little bit, the quarterback. Showed great poise.
Right.
Freshman thrown in there, scored a late touchdown.
Yep.
Something else to build on with, having that next guy up mentality.
Yep.
I think he might be able to work in a little bit if anything ever happens in the future. Yep. I want to say there was some great athletic plays on the offensive end.
Yep.
Johnny Pham's hurdle. Never saw that coming from little Johnny. Yeah. Now, I didn't realize that when you hurled somebody in high school, it is a penalty.
Right.
I didn't know that because I was surely wondering what was going on.
Oh, right.
I didn't expect it out of the 5'5" Johnny Pham to be hurling anybody, but I know he's a track star, and we've already talked about his strength. I thought the catch late in the game, I don't know if it was by number 6 or Gervais, double coverage, came down with a nice catch. I thought that was another highlight. I know at one point during the game, I think you and I were both yelling the same thing, uncatchable, on the pass interference, which I found out isn't a rule in high school either. So that's kind of shocking to me. How the difference
a lot of interpretations of rules.
Yeah, the difference between the high school and the college or professional. All right, moving on a little bit far. All right, offensively, based on your film study and things like that, what do you think? Who's shined for us? And it could be, like you said, a lineman that did his job, or things that we don't see from out there. You only know the stars or the skilled players.
I mean, I think you always have to mention your O-line when they're playing as well as that. They're guys that they don't necessarily get the newspaper clippings and all that, but we'll give them the names out there. Obviously Andrew McMillan, the guy everybody knows. But then there's Kyle Morgan at the other right tackle, R.J. Johnson in there, senior, doing well. Wes Borland. We've put the weight of the world on Wes Borland. He's playing center as a sophomore, and for the most part, been dead on, with his snaps. And then, Tyrell Weber's the other one there, left guard, and he's just a competitive kid. I mean, we're calling for water during a timeout. Tyrell Weber, we're on defense. Tyrell Weber is a starter at left guard on the offensive line. They're dead tired. He sees nobody get in the water. He grabs the water and sprints 50 yards to give his that's the
above
kind
and beyond.
Yeah, that's the kind of kids we got, and you can build on that. You can build on kids like that, and to show the heart and the camaraderie to do that for your team when you're dead tired yourself. I mean, I think there's a lot going. Offensively, I mean, a ton of weapons on the perimeter. Kobe's playing very well, Kobe Cook. Both running backs, Tyree Peters doing very well. So, there's a lot of bright spots. We just, And
I think on the offensive line, when we talked about guys going down and Elijah coming in as being different, man, what a toll on the offensive line that puts.
Right.
Because now you're used to a drop back passer who's getting rid of the ball 2-3 seconds. Now you got Elijah running around 4 or 5 seconds, and they got to stay with their blocks. It changes a lot of things, especially as you know and I know, maybe everyone else doesn't, that the offensive line's got to be a cohesive unit.
Definitely.
I mean, they all move together, and once you get ready for one guy, the change is definitely an issue as far as how long the plays goes.
Definitely.
We know that on defense.
Right.
How many times you see us covering for 3 seconds and it's 4 seconds and they get that long pass or something like that. So that's definitely an improvement. I'm glad to see that. What about the kicking game? I know everybody out here wants to ask. I know the kid's young. I don't want to I don't like to put anybody's name out there. These are high school kids. I know you're coaching them to the best of your ability. What you see Monday through Thursday is one thing. You may coach them everything you want. When they get on the field, they're going to do what they do. Not all of that is a reflection on you or them at all. It's part of the game.
We've got to get the field goal unit better. It's that simple. We've got to get it better. I've called for field goals, and when and not even extended long field goals. And to me, under a certain yard line, those have to be automatic. If we're going to continue to be low percentage on our field goals, and we're just going to be having to go for it on fourth, and I'm going to be answering questions every week, why'd you go for it on fourth? But, the thing for me is, I've got to feel like those are automatic points, the offense deserves those points at the end of a drive.
It could be, making pull you down a little bit.
You never know. I mean, it's you get the ball down there, you got to come out. You got to come out of the red zone with something. And we're getting down there and we're missing some things. And that's actually we've got two kickers, and we got the one back that's been with us this past week. So that was actually a different kicker you were looking at. And they're here's the thing, they're doing very well in practice.
That's nice. I see them in the practice, and they can kick them pretty well.
You look in pregame, and they're hitting close to 50-yard field goals and things, and that's something as a coaching staff we've got to sit there and look at. Is it that we're not, and field goals are not always on the kicker. There's a lot of things. So you got the snap, the hold, the blocking, and things like that.
The laces.
So, the laces. And, so that's something we're going to look at and really rep hard this week. A lot of live field goals just coming at them and putting that pressure situation on. So.
Well, I know I was working out today with Coach Hammonds, who used to be a kicker for Long Beach back in the day. Yeah. She's a soccer player and a kicker. Yeah. And actually, the field goal kicker came to her and asked her for some advice, and she was willing to get. So that shows me he's willing to improve and try his best. So I think that's a positive, just that he comes out and asks somebody.
Definitely.
All right. Hate to bring up the officiating, and I don't want to give this, and I hate to do this because it's really, in my eyes, it's really the crush of Long Beach is that everyone wants to find that excuse.
Right.
Officials are human. I'm not going to say I love them. I'm not going to say I hate them.
Right.
I would say some of the calls they made were iffy at best.
Right.
But what we need to overcome that. I know it's the first chance we get for that excuse, we want to run with it. And I think our teams we have the talent level where we should just overlook it and kind of find a way to win either way. So is that something you feel has been a problem? I mean, I know we keep talking about that, and again, I don't want to use that as an excuse, but is that something that you find is affecting your team pretty much? Or?
Well, I actually felt like they did a really good job this week of kind of tuning it out. I think late in the game it got emotional at points, with the officiating and the calls. But I think throughout the game, I think you saw, a football team and a coaching staff, hold it together despite it. My thing was I was wanting some explanations for it, and that was why, I went out and talked to the head official several times. And, my thing is, hey, look, call your game. I know you're doing the best you can, but, what'd you see?
Right.
And
it's
to
not
me,
always arguing.
Right,
like a lot of people see you walk out there and you're arguing. Well, it's really you want clarification.
Yeah. Well, with the hurdling thing, I had a long discussion with him on that. I've had that, I've been on defense at a previous job. Kid hurdles our player into the end zone. I get the rule clarified at that point that if the defensive player's in the act of the tackle, if he's lunged for the tackle, as I had it explained, let me word that correctly, as I had it explained to me from the last time was that, the hurdle was okay at that point. It's if the defender was standing, everybody sees the rule different and this and that, but, that was, I've always, my interpretation was in the act of a tackle, or if the player's laying on the ground, we can do that. But because it happened to me, I gave up a touchdown, and that was what happened. That wasn't many years ago that happened. So, that was what I was talking about with them was just, hey, let's clarify the rule, and they said it was anything, they said the player being up at all, was over, and if that's the interpretation of the rule, then we got to go by it and we got to put it in the past, and that's what it was that night. So we moved on. So.
Clarification is more or less for you can tell it to your team, so our team, because a lot of times those kids have just as many questions as we do, not knowing what's right and what's wrong, and you just wish that would happen. Okay. I got a question for you because we hear all this stuff and you hear the fans chanting certain things here and there. I mean, I'm sure you don't hear it because I know when I'm coaching, I don't hear anything that any one of them have to say. Or we're social media. I don't even have social media because I don't really care what they say. But what can we do as fans during the game that would help the team? You know, like, you go to a Saints game and they're yelling defense, and they're as loud as they can be in the defensive end. I mean, I'd like to see our fans come together and do more of that.
Right.
Instead of nitpicking the stuff that's going on the field, what can we do as we sit in the fields to help us instead of maybe hurt?
Well, to me, it's always just positivity. I talk to my assistant coaches about it. No matter what's going on in the game, we got to be positive. Save the negativity. It's kind of like you talked about last week. Let's save it for after the game. Let's save the criticisms for after the game. We're in the moment. We're in the fight. Let's be positive. Let's pick up our players, pick up our coaching staff, and that's the thing. I mean, nobody. Everyone responds better to a positive person. I mean, it just is. It's human nature. When hey, it's all right, we got it. Let's move on. And you see that, and I think that yields better.
And you want them to do the same thing,
right?
But I'll be honest, that's hard.
Oh, it is.
I know, because I get that all the time.
Yep.
You practice something all week, and you practice and practice and practice, and then when it doesn't work that way, when in the game, as a coach, you're frustrated because you feel they're better than that.
Right.
But and I have the same thing. I come down on my players a lot in the same way, in that negativity, where I got to bite my tongue and say, hey, let's keep going, let's work, and talk about it at practice.
Right. It always comes back to that short memory. Be 1-0 on every play, be 1-0 every week. It doesn't. Football is such a play-by-play thing that you've got to shake the last one off and you got to move on. And because it'll just trickle down on you. If it's in the back of your mind, it's going to continue to affect your play. Yeah. So,
and I'm sure, just like softball, it's a cruel game.
Oh, yeah.
If I'm thinking about the last play, they're coming right at me.
Right, absolutely.
Because my mind's not on this play. It just seems it's like quicksand. The harder you try, the farther you go under, and it's hard for a young kid to get through. All right, before we get into previewing about next week's and without giving out too many things, how do you feel the morale of the team is right now? I know two tough losses, games we probably could have won. Right. I mean, I wouldn't think we were out of it until maybe late in the game. A couple of bigger plays. The kickoff return at the end of the beginning of the second half.
Right.
I mean, that was deflating. After what happened in the first half, we got the PI call and then a no PI call. That's a 14-point swing there, and that kickoff return just kind of. But I didn't see him quit at that point, which I thought was really good.
Right. Yeah.
Being a teacher at the school, I don't see any morale dips. I talk to some kids a lot. I see they always stop by and I ask them how they're doing, and I mean, we all want to see everybody win, but the main thing is, they got to believe in themselves.
Right.
And I was just wondering, what do you think? So far?
I think we're right on track. I think the kids. I went on every single bus. I went on the bus. I looked in their eyes at the end of the game. Obviously we talked in the locker room and things, and everybody's disappointed. We all wanted the W, but at the end of the day, we know that this is. It's a marathon, not a sprint, and these are warm-up games to our second season, which is district play.
The only ones that really matter.
Right.
When it comes down to it, yeah.
And I think, you hear comments out of the players, man, coach, this offense, it's electric. We can give guys, some plays. Man, coach, defense is really getting it together. And they're starting to kind of see, hey, look, we do our part, we do our job. All of a sudden some good things are going to happen. And, I think you saw an even better team take the field than week one, which was very encouraging. I think week two we played very well. We didn't catch the breaks, which
not
is frustrating.
Not as many penalties like the offsides or false starts.
Things we felt we needed to address got addressed, and we saw the growth there. And as long as we can continue to grow, we're still right where we want to be. All our goals are still intact. The goal at the beginning of the season is, it's win district. I mean, that's what we're doing this for. Win district. Make the playoffs.
I mean, you can go and whatever until district and win all of it.
And obviously you want to win every Friday night, but this is a football team that is young, and we've got to continue to show growth every week. I mean, the year I went to the state championship at Petal, we were 1-2 out the gate, and everybody's downtrodden and all that, and then our team kind of catches fire, and here we go, and this is a football team that they're starting to see it. They're tuning out the noise, the negative, and they believe it, and we talked on the bus at the end of the game. What I was starting to say is, I said, do you see where you're at? Do we see that we're right there? And everybody, yes sir, we got it. We're on track, coach, and let's do this, and we're going to continue to clean up mistakes and things where we're not going to beat ourselves, and once you can do that and control what you can control, you got so much things positive happening in the program. And at some point, and it frustrates me more than anybody, heck, pregame speech was, hey, at some point we got to reach the top of this mountain. We got to quit climbing. We got to be there, and we got to get comfortable being on the top, and that's something that I feel like we've been climbing for so long. And, we're ready to get it. We're ready to get that reward. We know we've worked for it, and we're going to keep plugging away till we're there. So.
Yeah, and I mean, in my eyes, you go back to week 1 or week 2, say if you have 64 plays in the game, if you eliminate 7 of those plays, you win.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
In both games. There'll come those big pass plays or things like that. Yeah. So, I mean, they got to be feeling a little bit closer. I mean, it's not like we're not even in the game at all.
Oh, yeah.
Like I said, in the first half, it looked like our offense, we were stronger than they were, which isn't a testament to how hard you practice, and things like that.
And credit to the opponent. I mean, you look at the 2 teams we played, week 1 and week 2. That's good football teams.
Oh, yeah.
That's teams that, to me, are going to make a lot of noise. In the 4A level. I could see them still being around. Second round, third round of playoffs. I think those are some really, really good football teams, and we're on our way. We're on our way to being.
I think Pass won this week too, didn't they?
They did.
Past week?
Yep.
So just to show you that they're not, they're no cupcake either.
Right.
You think of that. I think Stanislaus number 4 Favre. You don't hate to see that against you.
Yeah.
The lineage there. I'm not saying he's going to ever be a Brit, but just that alone. All right. Well, you want to take a little bit of a break, and we can get into next week.
Sure.
So preview next week's game. I know. As a team, I know we just need that one win.
Right.
You can believe, but if you just don't get that one win, I think if we got this big win or last week's big win, it'd be a totally different team.
Yeah, absolutely.
The confidence level, we are something. It's proven. And I think this week has got another shot. West Harrison's coming to town. Again, you can't take anybody easy.
Right.
I'm sorry, no Long Beach team has ever won just showing up.
Right.
Not that I've been around. You got to put your hand down in the dirt and go to work. And hopefully this will be the week we finally get that W that we need. And we'll talk about that when we come back.
Yes, sir.
All right, Coach. Thanks.
We'd like to thank Bull's Restaurant in downtown Long Beach for hosting the Bearcat Coaches Show every Tuesday night at 6 o'clock. Bull's Restaurant, downtown Long Beach.
All right, here we go for the second half of our show. Again, we're at Bull's Restaurant in downtown Long Beach. It's Tuesday night. This section, we're going to have Coach go over a couple video highlights. At this point, we'd like to show some of the plays that some of our players would make and give them a little pub, give them that little prop for doing something they wanted to do right. Yeah. And here we go. We really don't know what's on these fields because Coach Brady did it, but we're going to roll with this anyway.
Yeah. All right, so right here we got a kickoff. Our kick return unit has been very strong this year. J.R. McFarland fielding it, doesn't get the clean catch, which usually that's a bad deal. You can't catch it outright, but does a great job finding his lanes. Blocker's doing a good job. Get the huge return right there.
I like the fact he ran straight up the field.
Yeah.
A lot of the kids nowadays, they try to go wide and they
motion.
You're losing yardage.
So right here, all right, let's see.
There you go, Geist in the shotgun.
Yeah. Right here we got our H-back personnel in. We got Roderick Walker there playing H-back, running split zone right here. So Roderick's coming around trying to kick.
Gets a good block.
O-line's getting great penetration. Johnny Pham carrying the ball. And there you have it.
That's 5 yards before he gets touched, Coach.
Absolutely.
You got to like that.
I mean, you see the double team here. Andrew McMillan getting some push right here. Tyrell Weber doing a good job with West Borland, pushing down, opening. You can see him just driving that D lineman out of there, and Johnny does a great job just finding where he's supposed to find. So, great play there. Defense up right here. Okay. Right here, we were messing with them kind of with what we were calling and want to keep them guessing. Right here, it's a pinch front. We're going to bring both outside backers. You can see number 3, Jonathan Ulrich and Cam Matthews coming off the edge. Jace Neal does a good job setting the pick for Cameron to come underneath. You can see up top, and there he does, or there he goes. Cam Matthews just finding the opening, and they don't get an inch. So great job up front, good penetration, and you see Jaron Evans doing a great job here. just pushing back. I mean, look at that right guard. He's just throwing him back into the ball carrier, getting involved in the tackle. Great play, great group effort from the defense. Defense up again. Let it run through one time before we. You can see Cam Matthews doing a great job disguising his blitz. That's one thing that this three front really gives you a good opportunity to kind of disguise that offense. They think he's out here in coverage. You look at it pre-snap up top, and that O-line, you can see number 71 at right tackle for Stanislaus. He never sees him. That guy's in coverage, and here we go, right off the edge. And what that is, that's the advantage we have, playing this defense, is just the ability to disguise. And again, we're coming with our pinch front, bringing both. There's 5-man pressure at the quarterback. We didn't want to let it. We thought he was a very strong quarterback. We wanted to get in his face as soon as we could. And big things happen when you're attacking on defense.
And you can see him peek at Matthews here, which rushes the play. See, he gets a little
feels that pressure. Yeah,
got a little nervous.
Now here, this is just talking about the breaks just not going our way. We get this big time play, and three Bearcats there hustling, and they fall on the ball. And it's not for lack of hustle. It's just, the ball just didn't bounce our way. So. Tough break there. Still the big sack, but would have loved to have the turnover for sure. So another kick return. Make sure I'm not showing you the same one here. Yeah. All right, Gervais Foxworth fields this one. Let it run through. Coach Allen, our special teams coordinator, does a great job for us. He's one doesn't get enough credit for what he does. Does a phenomenal job just setting up these blocks and letting players make plays in space. And that's the secret to coaching is, you got great athletes, get them the ball and let them go. So great run right there by Gervais. They get him in the last second. Great effort by Stanislaus to run him down. Big time play for the Bearcats.
Again, straight up the field.
Yep.
Not wasting any time to get to
no wasted movement,
yards.
no dancing around, nothing like that. So offense up. Right here we got Elijah. Okay, Wildcat package. Not sure in the game if this is where Geis is out already. We talked a lot about this Wildcat package last week, especially down the goal line. And, we liked what we had, and here we go. We're going to make sure that they can stop us and get it around the edge.
Look at the center getting out there and getting that block. That's pretty good movement for a big man. All the way around that end to hit that guy.
Snaps the ball. That's Wes Borland. That's the thing. Wes is a former defensive lineman. We still like to use him there every now and then, but he can move. He moves very well. You clock him in the 40s, and he might run, with the linebackers, and things like that. And he's a youngster, just a sophomore for us. And, that's tough to snap the ball and then still pull, but that's adding a gap out there in space. The defense isn't accounting. On defense, you want to make sure you're gapped out. If there's a guy, you want two guys. So I got a tackle, I want to have an inside gap and an outside gap of the tackle. Well, when you pull a player, if they don't pull someone or run someone with the puller, then you're going to get numbers on them. And, we were getting the edge on them, last week just with pure, zone blocking. This week, another wrinkle. Get an extra blocker out there, get even more numbers over top.
And if you look at the end of the play, Elijah is right off his back end.
Yep.
There it is right there, right off the back end to get the in 2 yards. It's good hustle.
We love this package. It's been great for us, especially like it in short yardage.
Very comfortable for Elijah to be in that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Instead of the drop back passer.
Absolutely.
No hesitation.
All right, here we go. Defensive clip. Rushing off the edge right here. It's Coach Brady. Coach Brady.
Did he fumble that?
I think it's a sack. I think we fooled him. Here we go.
Coach Brady, that's some good game film. We can use
Oh,
that
here
next
you go.
week.
Look, we'll cut it right here. All right. So right here, it's Jaleel Jones is the one to watch right here. Let me point him out to you. Okay, right here in the middle of your screen right here, if I can get the highlighter there. Okay, he's playing nose guard. Jaleel, quick, hard player. He right here he comes off the right up the gut rather.
Nice swim
Center
move.
snaps it. Great swim move. Get it here.
I've been impressed with him this year.
Oh, yeah.
You see him in the hallway, you
oh,
don't
yeah.
think he's that physical.
Yeah.
But he's definitely using the most of it.
He plays so fast, he's in the backfield before they can get out of their stance. Great swim move, and right there to the quarterback, get the sack. Fooled the cameraman, but we get the
Coach
sack
Brady
there.
missed it, but we got it.
Yeah. So right here, Jonathan Ulrich, Jaron Evans, DeAllen King right here. Coming off they're trying to come and kick Jonathan Ulrich out. They get enough to wash him out of there. And here you see Jaron Evans getting tremendous tremendous push out of the D-line. There's DeAllen sitting on it. And who's that? That's Ulrich. Beats that block, comes back and makes that play. So big time play by the defense. So the run defense all season, to this point has been very impressive. And that's what you're going to have to win the big games in this district is a great run defense. So feel really strong about that. We're hammering out the kinks still in the pass defense. And, we're on our way. So. J.R. McFarland. I believe that's J.R.
Yeah. On the tackle.
Second and short, yep. Just a good play. Just solid. That's a great receiver catching the football, coming across on us right there. We're playing a zone defense. We're waiting for that drag by 11. He's dragging across the field. And, we're sitting in a cover 3 look. JR's rolled down. And as soon as he catches that, we're right there sitting on it. That's by design. Good hustle to the ball there. Great first down run right there.
Again, a design run, which is more comfortable with, you can tell.
Yep. It's just so tough when you have to count that quarterback, in your equation on defense. So great play right there.
Guys getting hurt hurts that strategy a little bit because you're seeing them every play instead of every once in a while as well.
Yeah. Just more good run defense. Guys doing their job. Nothing too pretty, nothing too fancy, but guys doing their job. You can see they're doing Stanislaus is bringing that H back, number 3 across. They're trying to kick out on us and find the A gap right there, backside A gap. And good job, Marcus Duncan and DeAllen King. You see both of them as they create that extra gap with this H back. See, when he inserts into that line of scrimmage, he is creating an extra gap. And if you don't match that with your linebackers, they've got you. And that's a great job by both these guys seeing what they need to see. They're keying that H-back from the start of the play. He goes across, both of them fit it up, and there's nowhere to go with it.
Like I said, if you look at the beginning of that, all the Stanislaus linemen are behind the line of scrimmage.
Right.
They're not getting the push. We're pushing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whether or not they make the tackle when it gets in, but we are controlling the line.
Coach Brady might be trying to butter me up. He's putting a lot of defensive plays in there. All the offense is what sells the tickets here. So you saw a lot of this last week. Julius Wells out there at the corner position. He's reading that bubble out of number 11. Does a good job. Just kind of baiting the throw. He sees it, and then there's your 2-man leverage tackle. We got to make this play. DeAllen overruns it. He's got to break down in space coming from the inside out.
Actually, I think we had a missed coverage there, Coach. If you look at the beginnings, why we got nobody there?
There's a safety over top. There's a safety over top.
I got you in the back end, but I was going to say that's a really good play by him to come up and hit that.
Well, what he's going to do, he's trying to jam up this number 1 receiver until the ball, we say let the ball bring you down to the corner.
Right, yeah. So that pump and goes deadly.
You can see right here, we got our Naj playing deep. He's the one over top responsible for any deep pass. And what we're going to do, we adjusted from last week. We wanted to be more physical with the corners and really put hands on those routes. And you can see him affecting the route, from the number one receiver at the top of our screen. And he sees ball thrown. If he doesn't see ball thrown, Julius will stick on this guy a little bit longer. He sees the ball thrown on the bubble, and there we are. So.
Johnny Pham again.
Johnny Pham, yeah.
That's power.
They're blitzing. You can see a blitz is any time you're going to bring 5 people. Okay, so right here you see the 3 down linemen. They're bringing the player off the edge. And what we teach these quarterbacks is replace the blitzer. So that blitzer comes off the edge at the outside backer position. Well, if they blitzed him, then he's no longer in coverage. So we're going to have a receiver where he's not. And, right there you see it. Blitzer comes off the edge. Elijah does a good job reading it, getting the ball to Johnny. Now it's players making plays in space. So.
He's just a night and day different player when it's an organized run. Or, you can see that when he's scrambling around and then usually ends up running at the end, I think.
Yeah. Right here, we're trying to throw right here. We got a route called. They're running a scissor route up top. It's a little bit longer developing play. What we like to do, with Elijah at quarterback too, is we want to kind of sprint him out and give him that ability. He's got the lead blocker out of Johnny. We want to try to get him on the move. That's where he's more comfortable on the move, rolling out. And, now he's got that. If he sees it, throw it. If he doesn't, hey, use your ability.
That's a nice pocket he's got right there. If you sit back there, that's a good job on offensive line.
Doesn't feel here's the thing. We don't want to force throws. And, we might say, hey, why aren't we throwing that? Well, if that quarterback, especially a young quarterback, getting in early, you want them to make those 100% positive throws. We want to know it's open. We want to know that, hey, if I need to make this play, I've got it. And if not, hey, let's take off with it. So maybe a different game plan. Yeah, it's using player strength. Maybe a different game plan than when Geis is in, not as much the runner, but you got to run a quarterback. Let him do what he's comfortable with. And that's kind of there. So I think that's probably enough.
All right, now. Without giving any secrets away, Coach, what do you see from West Harrison?
Coach, the coach for West Harrison and I, we know each other well. We're friends, and I know this. He's building a program over there. He's got them doing the right things. They're working hard, and they're a competitive football team for sure. That wing tee that they run gives you fits. You don't ever really stop the wing tee. You just kind of slow it down. And you hope, that your offense is going to do enough, and you hope your defense is going to slow them down and get them off the field. The wing tee is very tough on 3rd down. If they can get to a 3rd and 4, a 3rd and 3, where most offenses are going to struggle, the wing tee thinks, hey, we're going to get this. And, they should be able to get 3 yards every play. And, heck, you're looking 3rd and 3, now they're converting, and they're having sustained long drives. And, they're going to run the trap play and things like that. And those are always scary when, those quick hitters, they don't need much blocking, right. For that fullback to hit it right there, and next thing you know.
Very important to stay your assignment
here. Fullback gets it with a full head of steam right down the center of the defense, and he only needs one block and one kid out of the way, and they don't even have to really get a good block. They just kind of have to shove you off your path, and they can crease you, and they've done it all season. So definitely have our hands full, preparing for the wing tee.
They're expecting that middle linebacker to run over on the pitch and then open it up where that's like the assignment football.
And defensively, they play hard. They've got good schemes on defense. They'll be very similar, we think, to Pass Christian on defense, who played well. Schematically what they do. So, we got our hands full. It's, we need to come out rivalry games, so both teams are, here we are back to, can you control your emotions? Something that, we've struggled with this season, and you know, hey, we want to play hard, but we got to play smart. So
And when you only play a team that runs that one type of offense once, it's really hard to practice for. You know, I always think about like Army Navy, undersized, but they run that wishbone, and not every team can play against it.
It gives you a chance. It gives you a chance always.
Because it's hard to practice in 1 week for that. Well, again, Coach, it's been my pleasure to interview you. Hopefully it's been insightful for everybody out there.
Absolutely.
We will take some requests or whatever, as long as it's meaningful. But we'll be back again next week on Tuesday around 6-ish. Can't tell what time you're going to go off the practice field, but somewhere around there we'll be here. Again at Bulls, we thank Bulls for having us here, and good luck next week.
Absolutely. Thank
All right,
you.
buddy.